I warmly welcome all of you to the Speak in English online lecture series, which has been designed by the International Association for Quality Education along with South Asian International Association for Early Childhood and Development in order to provide support to anyone who is keen in developing their communicational skills. I'm Dishan Jagannathan, Operational Leader of International Association for Quality Education, and I'll be briefing you on Lesson 1, which is on simple present tense. This series has been designed under the guidance of Mr. Janaka Kamalgoda, President of International Association for Quality Education and President of South Asian International Association for Early Childhood Care and Development. The Sustainable Development Goals of this organization is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The purpose of organizing this lecture series is to improve communication skills in English to overcome challenges in global society. Now let's start the lesson. First of all, let's see what a subject means. The subject of a sentence is the person, place, or thing that is performing the action of a sentence. The subject represents what or whom the sentence is about. The simple subject usually contains a noun or a pronoun. I, we, you, they, he, she, it are pronouns. Here, I refers to first person. We refers to first person plural. You refers to second person. It could be either singular or plural. And he, she, it, they refer to third person. Here, they refers to third person plural, and he, she, it refers to third person singular. Now let's see what a verb is. A verb is any kind of action that we do. It may be running, jumping, sleeping, reading, talking, and so on and so forth. Types of sentences. The sentences can be classified under 4 categories, which are positive sentence, negative sentence, positive questions, and negative questions. Now we look into each of these types. A positive sentence, it shows the action that you do. Structure of the positive sentence. In simple present tense, it describes the actions that we do on a daily basis, such as maybe I walk, I study, I sleep, he plays, she works. So these actions represent our daily activities. So now let's look into the form. The form goes as subject plus the verb. I, you, we, they. For these subjects, we usually use a verb. For example, it could be I play, we play, you play, they play. But when it comes to third person, that is he, she, it, we always use an S. along with the verb. For example, it could be he plays, she plays, it plays. So the difference between these two are for I, we, you, they, we use a verb alone, and for he, she, it subjects, we combine an S along with the verb. Let's look at some examples here. I go to school every day. They come to our home every week. He plays chess in the evening. Nimal works in Central College. Here, Nimal refers to third person subject. So, Nimal is a proper noun. So, as we said, for a third person singular, we use a verb along with an S. So, it becomes Nimal works in Central College. Let's look at the expanded form. So you have a subject followed by the verb and an object to make a meaningful sentence. And you could also expand the sentence by adding place and time. I, we, you, they is followed by a verb and an object with place and time. Whereas he, she, it is followed by a verb with an S and object with place and time. Let's look at some examples so that we could get a clear picture of the form. I play cricket in our garden every evening. I refers to the subject. The action, that is the verb, is play. Since I is a first person singular subject, we use play. The object is cricket. In our garden every evening. This explains the place and time. The next example here, we study English in our office every day. We is the subject and the verb is study. Object, English, in our office every day refers to the place and the time. Likewise, we have examples below which are you watch TV in the lobby every night. They learn English in my class every Sunday. Look at the last three examples on this slide. He teaches music at home on weekends. So here, if you observe carefully, you could see the verb teach is written as teachers. Reason, he ends with, as we saw in our earlier slide, he, she, it usually is followed by a verb with an S. So the action teach is added with an ES. Sometimes it could be an S or an ES. So he teaches music at home on weekends. She makes tea in the kitchen every morning. A cat makes noise in the roof every night. So in the last three examples, we could observe an ES which is added to the verb. Moving on to the second type, which is negative sentence. A negative sentence shows the disliking or maybe the opposite of the positive sentence. Example, I go to school. A negative sentence would be I do not go to school. So it opposes the action that is performed. The structure of the negative sentences is subject plus do not or does not plus the verb. The difference between the positive and negative structure, you add do not or does not in between the subject and the verb. The do not can be contracted as don't, and does not could be contracted as doesn't, which is the short form. So let's look at an example to get a clear idea. I do not go to school every day. This could also be said as I don't go to school every day. Here I is the subject followed by do not or the contracted form don't. And the verb here is go. They do not visit us every week. They is the subject followed by do not. Verb is visit. Likewise, Nimal does not work in Central College. Nimal is the subject followed by does not and the verb is work. There is one more thing we need to look into. When we talk about negative sentences, maybe first person, second person, or third person narrative, the verb comes without an S. The expanded form of the negative sentence. I, we, you, they, followed by do not plus the verb, object, place, and time. He, she, it plus does not plus verb, object, place, and time. So for I, we, you, they, we use do not. And for third person singular, we use does not. That is for he, she, and it, we use does not in front of the verb. Let's look at the examples. I don't play cricket in our garden every evening. I is the subject followed by don't, which is the contracted form of do not. Play is the verb and cricket is the objective here. In our garden every evening explains the place and the time. Let's look at another example. We don't study English in our office every day. We is the subject followed by don't and the verb is study. English is the object. In our office every day explains the place and time. You don't watch TV in the lobby every night. You, subject, don't, watch is the verb, TV is the object, in the lobby every night shows the place and time. They don't learn English in my class every Sunday. Now, coming to the last three examples, he, she, and the cat. These refer to the third person singular narrative. So he does not, which is contracted as doesn't. He doesn't teach music in his home every weekend. She doesn't make tea in the kitchen every morning. The cat doesn't make noise in the roof every night. So the difference between these two are do not will be used for I, you, we, and they. Doesn't will be used for he, she, it. The next type we'll be looking into are the question forms. First, we'll look at positive questions. The structure is given as do or does, followed by the subject, verb. The difference between the sentence and the question is the subject usually comes at the beginning in a sentence, and when it's a word question, the subject is followed by the question word. Here the question words are do and does. So let's look at the examples so that we could get an idea of positive questions. Do I go to school every day? Do they visit us every week? Does Nimal work in Central College? If you look at the first two questions, the subject is I and they. Therefore, the question word used will be do. And the verb is go in the first question and the verb is visit in the second question. Looking at the third example, does Nimal work in Central College? Nimal is the third person singular narrative. It refers to a person. So, does is used in front of the subject Nimal, and the verb is work. So, it goes as does Nimal work in Central College? For further understanding, let's look at the formation of the structure. Do plus the subjects I, we, you, they plus the verb and object place time. Does will be used for he, she, it plus the verb, object, place and time. As we discussed earlier, do is used for I, we, you, they, and does is used for he, she, it. Let's look at some examples. Do I play cricket in our garden every evening? The question word is do, followed by the subject I, verb play, the object is cricket. Place and time explains garden and every evening. Likewise, do we study English in our office every day? Do is the question word followed by the subject we, verb is study, and the object is English. In our office every day refers to the place and time. Do you watch TV in the lobby every night? Do they learn English in my class every Sunday? Now let's look at some examples for does. Does he teach music at home every weekend? Does is the question word, followed by the subject he, and the verb is teach, followed by the object music, at home every weekend, refers to the place and time. Does she make tea in the kitchen every morning? Does the cat make a noise in the roof every night? Does is the question word, followed by the cat is the subject, and the verb is make, followed by noise, which is the object. In the roof every night refers to the place and time. Now we look at the last type, which is the negative question. The negative questions begin with do not or does not, followed by the subject and the verb. You need to keep one thing in mind. Always when you make negative questions, we use the contracted form. So for questions which begin with do not, we use don't. And for questions that begin with does not, we use doesn't. Let's look at the example below. Don't I go to school every day? Don't they visit us every week? Doesn't Nimal work in Central College? The first two examples have the form used is don't plus the subject is I or they. And the verb is go or visit. And the rest of the question gives you the object. Moving to the last one, doesn't Nimal work in Central College? The question word is doesn't, followed by the subject Nimal, and the verb here is work, and Central College is the object. The expanded form of the negative question pattern is given in this slide. I, we, you, they, usually, I, we, you, they has to begin with don't. The question word don't. And he, she, it will begin with the question verb doesn't. The rest of the form remains the same. which is the verb followed by the object and place and time. Some examples for our understanding. Don't I play cricket in our garden every night? Don't is a question word followed by the subject I, the verb play, and the object cricket. In our garden every night explains or refers to the place and time. Don't we study English in our office every day? The question verb used is don't, followed by the subject we. Verb study, object English, in our office every night shows the place and time. Likewise, we have don't you watch TV in the lobby every night? Don't they learn English in my class every Sunday? Moving to the last three questions. The question word is doesn't. Doesn't he teach music at home every weekend? Doesn't she make tea in the kitchen every morning? Doesn't the cat make noise in the roof every night? So, the difference in the negative questions are the questions begin with do not or does not, followed by the subject and the verb, and the rest remains the same. Let's summarize what we've learned so far. The four types of sentences, the positive sentence, negative sentence, positive question, and negative question. So the positive question for I, you, we, they, you always use the verb. Examples are I go to school now, they walk home after school, Rimal plays in the class now. Whereas in the negative sentence, we use the subject plus do not or does not followed by the verb. I don't go to school now. They don't walk home after school. Nimal does not play in the class now. The positive and negative question forms begin with the question verb do and does. For positive questions, we use do. Example, do I go to school now? Do they walk home after school? Does Nimal play in the class now? Does will be used for third person singular, and the rest we use do for positive questions. And for negative questions, we use don't and doesn't. Don't we go to school now? Don't they walk home after school? Doesn't Nimal play in the class now? Keep in mind for negative questions, we always have to use the contracted form. Assessment and evaluation. Visit us on the given URL. Go to the Speak in English lecture series. Follow the guidelines to complete the assessment process. Watch the next lesson to become more familiar with the language. Thank you for joining and have a nice day. Thank you.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.